Welcome into episode 26 of Ramie and Drew. I am Ramie Mackloff. That's Drew Flaggy. We're a couple of Milwaukee-based comedians. We talk about sports and whatever else comes to mind. Are you not happy with your hair? I know people are maybe listening to this on Spotify and Apple, or if you're not watching on YouTube and you don't see, but Drew started off the show just wrestling with his hair up there on the top of it. Are you okay? Are you all right?
Yeah, I just got out of the shower, so it's I just did the towel dry. I didn't comb it or anything, so now it's just
You
kind
didn't
of all
brush
over the
it?
place.
You didn't
Nah,
put
I
your
had to get
wax
on the
in
podcast.
there?
I had to get on the podcast.
Do you put wax in there? What do you put in there?
It's the Paul Mitchell hair cream, the Reformer.
Okay.
It's
All
the
right.
My hair's too long
Okay.
for it though right now, so that's why I've been wearing a lot of hats.
I put nothing in this. Au natural. Just shampoo and conditioner, baby. That's it.
Yeah, well, yours is way longer. Yeah, I just do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get a haircut on Friday. So
you know what? It's fitting that we started off this show talking about our hair care products and whatnot. Look at this mane. Look at this mane I got going, Drew Flaggy. Look at that.
Got good volume.
Shiny. Look at that. The shine, the curl, the volume, the bounce. It's all there. Yeah. I've lost a little bit of the thickness, but other than that, it's all there. But it's fitting we started off this show talking about our hair and our hair care products, Drew, because the thought occurred to me today as I was getting ready to do this podcast. Like, what are we going to talk about? Because like suddenly when, the Bucks are good and winning games, things are real quiet on the Bucks front. Like ever since we started this podcast, it's been easy to make content. You know what I mean? Like they've fired a coach. They've looked really good at times. Giannis has looked like an MVP. Dame has looked like a shell of himself. Chris Middleton got hurt. The Brewers made news. Like the Packers playoff run ended. Today was the first day where I was like, man, it's kind of quiet out there on the sports landscape, which, as we said, that's a good thing when it comes to the Bucks for the most part.
Yeah, especially after the All-Star break where it was we couldn't even cover everything that was happening with them. That was
I remember in one show I reeled off like 8 different things that happened since the previous day's show.
Yeah.
Just like, did I cover it all?
This is how, I mean, this is insane to me though. Like this is actually one of the things that I didn't prep you on that I wanted to talk about. There's a couple people I talk to when I'm at work about, just basketball and stuff, like you start to, who likes what. And there are some people that are, they're casual fans of like the Bucks, which is nothing wrong with that. This guy would always come up to me and go, "What's going on with the Bucks? What's wrong with the Bucks? Like, why? Tell me." And like, you can rattle off stats, or you can kind of try to simplify it for people and just be like, they weren't playing the correct kind of defense. They're not clicking right now. They got a lot of new guys learning the new system. Do you want to take a guess at what this guy asked me today after the Bucks allowed 26 points in the first half to the Charlotte Hornets? And after
why did they give up 59 in the second half?
No.
What?
Do you want to take another stab at something? It could literally be anything. It could be a question about literally anything.
Why is Chris Middleton anything? Well, that opens it way up. I was gonna say, why is Chris Middleton always hurt? I'm just thinking of like the negative things that you could pick out of this thing.
He asked me, he came up to me, same thing when the Bucks are, not playing well. He goes, "What's going on with the Bucks?" This is what he asked me today. "Hey, what do you think the Bears are going to do in the draft?"
I like this guy. Give him my phone number.
No,
I want to talk with him.
I told him I would ask you because this was my exact response, and I apologize for this response. But I was taken aback by it. I was like, "What do I think the Bears are going to do in the draft?" I was like, "Fuck up another quarterback?" I don't know. I was like, "Come on."
Like, exactly what they're going to do. I think if you're asking me, Drew, if you're passing along the question for what's his name?
His name's Roberto.
If you're passing along the question for Roberto, first of all, shout out Roberto. Follow, subscribe, like, rate, and review, and tell a friend. I think they're going to do exactly what you just said. They're going to draft Caleb Williams and fuck them up real bad. They're going to need a new head coach in a year. They're going to need a new general manager in 2 years. He's going to be trying to succeed in the midst of dysfunction and just organizational ineptitude. And he'll be on his second team and trying to hang on to a roster spot in 5 years, even though he's a generational prospect. And it won't be his fault for the most part. It'll be because he landed in Chicago playing for the Chicago Bears.
Yeah. But that was my honest to God answer was, I was like, the first answer in my head was Bucks in 6 always. But then the second one was they're going to fuck up another young quarterback.
Yeah, it's really what they do, man. It's really what they do. Like, I can't even, I have a group chat with a brother and a couple of friends of mine who are also Bears fans, a couple mutual friends of my brother and mine. And like, I just stopped commenting, Drew, because I always get, oh, you're the wet blanket. Because I think like all of this is futile, largely because of the fact that they kept Matt Eberflus as the head coach. And I see a pattern repeating that I've seen repeat time and time again, where they draft a quarterback, they fire the coach a year later, the coach comes in, it's not his guy, the GM gets fired a year or two later, and neither the coach or the quarterback are his guy. He needs to start cleaning house, and you're just it's just a constant cycle of like rebuild, be mediocre at best, tear it down, rebuild, be mediocre at best, tear it down. So yeah, that's what they're gonna do. What was his name? Julio?
Roberto.
That's so there you go, Roberto. That's what is he a Bears fan? Where did this question come from? Oh, okay.
Just I don't know if he's worried about the Packers ceding ground to the Bears or something. It's like I've never talked about football with this guy.
It is kind of the talk of not just the NFL, but the sports world right now, because they have a pretty good quarterback in Justin Fields, but they also have the number 1 pick. And there's a guy who's supposedly, and I don't know, I don't watch college football. I'm not anti Caleb Williams. I don't know a lot about him, but supposedly a generational prospect at the most important position in North American sports. So they see an opportunity to upgrade, and it's an interesting decision that they have to make. It's funny you brought this up. I was going to the old pick and save right before we started here. I'm making a chicken and cheese tortellini soup tonight, Drew, before I head out to the open mic at the Laughing Tap, where I will meet you and we'll tell some jokes and have some drinks. But I was listening to 670 The Score, the station out of Chicago that I do some shifts for here and there. I'll be on there on March 8th, a week from Friday. I'll be on The Score from 7 to 9 p.m. if anybody's interested in checking that out. And they were, of course, talking about what the Bears are going to do with the number 1 pick and at the quarterback position. And she was like, it's amazing to me that so many people talk so much about football when it's not even happening. But she's right. She's 100% right. Like, and I'm part of it. I will talk about this till the draft comes, to anybody who wants to talk about it on the air or off. So it's a thing that a lot of people are talking about right now.
Well, I'm like the opposite of that though. Like, I know I've said I'm the weird Wisconsin fan where I'm like the Bucks and Brewers year round, and then I'm like invested in the Packers on Sunday, and then after that I'm kind of like, all right, whatever, rest of the week, rest of the year. I know I'm the weird one. I acknowledge that. I have no problem being the weird.
How'd you grow up in Wisconsin being like a casual football fan? How's that even a thing?
So when I was little, like whatever happened with my dad's work or something like that, he always got company tickets and stuff to go to Brewers games. So I went to like a lot of Brewers games. Like I remember there was some weird, I don't know what, it was like kindergarten. My dad just called me out of school to go to like a Brewers White Sox game. And like, I don't know, I just grew up, my dad took me to a lot of Brewers games. My dad coached basketball and softball. I just played all those. I just ended up liking basketball and baseball more. And
I mean, you can't have all 3 in your life, because I'm like crazy about all 3.
Yeah, my energy just doesn't go to football. I don't know. It's just I don't know. I really, basketball is my favorite sport, and it was also the one I was the least good at. So I don't know.
Yeah, same. Same here. That's why it was for me. It's always been honestly kind of number 3. Now it's closed the gap, but it's still, for me, basketball is number 3. It's baseball, football, and then basketball.
Yeah, it's basketball, baseball, football for me. It's like I said, I got nothing against the Packers. Sometimes the fan base annoys me. Brewers fans are getting on my nerves right now because spring training just started. So spring training doesn't matter until everything is incredible. That's actually one thing I wanted to talk about was toxic positivity, because we know that I'm just a shining light of positivity.
Wait. Toxic positivity?
Yeah. You can
What
be
is
so
toxic positivity?
You can be so positive it's not helpful about things. There is such a thing as toxic positivity. You know, like you can be negative by being over positive, right? If I said something, if I was like, I don't like to talk about how the Brewers are playing bad. So anyways, did you watch Futurama's new season? It's like, so I just said that the Brewers suck like that because I don't want to talk about them.
But are we doing any good by talking about? No, I don't mind doing it. It's what we do. You know what I mean? And it's what I've done for a living for a long time. When things are good, I say good. When things are bad, I say bad. It's kind of an easy job to have. But are we doing any good when we point out how bad things are? Like, is that any more helpful? Other than getting it off your chest and feeling a little better about shit.
Well, okay, so are you familiar with the quote that says baseball? This is going to shift into a baseball thing, I think, now for most of the show. Have you heard
I did have one more Bucks thing that's kind of silly, but we can get into that a little later.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So is it that Brooke Lopez is second all time in block shots for the Bucks?
No. It's not. Actually.
That's a neat stat. And remember, he missed an entire season basically with that back surgery where they gave him a brand new bionic back or something. I don't know what that's magic, whatever they did for him. I need that. There's a quote I forgot what it was. It's somebody who breaks down a lot of baseball stuff on YouTube, and maybe he took it from somebody, but the quote is baseball doesn't exist, it's just statistics. Where it's like you can literally make up a stat to justify or tear apart any argument you want to have. And I got into today on Twitter, the greatest place on earth, the happiest place on earth. It's not Disney World anymore. It's Twitter. I got into a war discussion about my favorite Milwaukee Brewers shortstop, Willy Adames.
Wait, you mean the baseball stat war, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You get into like okay.
Russia, Ukraine. That's
okay. You get into like the Iraqi war or something.
No. I'm
okay,
not,
good. All right.
No, I'm not going to talk about what we did to Yemen. I'm not going to get into that stuff.
So you didn't get into the Palestine-Israel thing?
Not yet.
Okay. All right.
Honestly, talking shit about Willy Adames or saying you don't like Willy Adames is like as brutal as getting into an Israel-Palestine.
I can tell you right now, it's not. But go ahead.
I can see the other side's argument for why Willy Adames is the good guy, but I'm just never going to see eye to eye with him. I celebrate different holidays than the people that love Willy Adames.
Fair. Okay. That's fair. I respect that, dude.
No, it's
I think there's plenty of room for everybody, for people who believe in Willy Adames and people who don't. You know what I mean? I'm just and I think they should all be treated equally.
And maybe the problem is we all need to keep our beliefs to ourselves. And if you're a practicing Willy Adames worshiper, fucking zip it. Just zip it. Okay? His home runs come in garbage time.
And maybe don't let it dictate how you govern, is all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, that's right. What I think. So, exactly. Okay, I actually want to ask you, what is your stance on the stat on war? Like, what's your stance on the stat? Do you think it's a great indication of how good a player is, or do you think it's like a neat little amalgamation of everything? It's like a snapshot of what the player is. Because I think the eye test.
It's not a be all end all, but I think.
So my thing about war is, it's a neat little snapshot of how a player is, and it's absolutely a stat that agents use to get their guys paid. It's what's the market value for my player at the position he plays. What does he bring to a team? And you use war to start dictating a negotiation point for getting your guy paid. I don't think war is a perfect stat because obviously a pitcher's war is going to be completely different than a shortstop's to a center fielder's to a catcher's. Mm-hmm. It figures in a lot of things. My problem, because like I think I sent you my reasoning for not being a big fan of Willy Adames is because his strikeout rate he is in the bottom 25 percentile for strikeout rate, barreled up balls, hard hit balls, and his whiff rate is really, really bad. And those are the things that translate to in the playoffs. You got runners on second and third with one out, and you strike out looking really, really bad. So I don't give a shit how many home runs you hit in May off of middle relief pitchers. When it comes down to the eye test, and it's, did this guy deliver in the moments that he's expected to deliver, being a run producer on that team? The answer is no. And his whiff rate is more conducive to what we see in the playoffs than his home run totals. And so it became an argument of, is Willy Adames a top 10 shortstop? I typed in, where does Willy Adames rank coming into this season after last season? And almost every single outlet that I found, every single outlet that I ended up finding had him ranked 12th at the highest, which isn't bad. That's still
he's not a top 10 shortstop. Dude, we're in a really good age of shortstops. You know what I mean? And 12 ain't bad. Yeah. And that kind of gets to where I'm at on the whole Willy Adames thing. I'm somewhere in between like the Willy Adames fan club and where it seems you're at, which is just get this guy the fuck out of here, which is I'm okay with Willy Adames being around, but you can't, to your point, rely on him to the extent that they have relied on him for a couple of seasons now. And I think, honestly, the Rhys Hoskins signing bumps him down the order a little bit, or at least bumps him down in terms of how much you need from him. In the pecking order of offensive production, I think Willy Adames goes down a peg with the Rhys Hoskins signing. Yeah,
he's probably your 5 hitter now, I would think.
Yeah.
I don't know where Contreras, maybe Yelich and Contreras are 1 and 2 when it comes out of it. I could, maybe Frelick is up at the top of the lineup. Maybe he's the 2 hitter. Maybe you go Yelich, Frelick or something like that. I don't want to get into that until after spring training. That's not what matters to me. What matters to me is that this is a guy who over the last 3 years, his hard hit balls, his whiff rate, that kind of stuff, and his strikeout rate is all trending in the wrong direction. So I'm at a point where I'm like, sell high or get what you can get for him, because his okay, so we're going to miss the home runs. Brewers fans, we like our home runs. Bernie goes down the slide, fireworks go off. It's a grand old time. I would rather, and they say that Joey Ortiz, he's a glove first shortstop. I was kidding when I said so is Willy Adames. But also I'm not kidding, because he did bat .217 last year with a lot of strikeouts. So he had over 24 home runs, but he also struck out way too much. Ricky Weeks never had a strikeout rate that Willy Adames does. And Ricky Weeks finished his career with a much higher batting average than what Willy is trending towards right now at a younger age than Ricky Weeks. Given different players, Willy's a much, much, much better defender. He's a 99th percentile arm strength and fielding range. He is an absolute top 10. He's probably a top 4 shortstop as far as range, arm strength, and all that stuff goes. But we have another guy who's supposed to be like that in the minor leagues right now that we just traded Corbin Burns for. So I'm not, if you could get something to fill another hole for Willy Adames, I'm okay dealing him. It's nothing against him personally.
Yeah, I'd be fine dealing him. I'm not attached to Willy Adames, and I'm not like, you got to get rid of this guy. And there's a place for Willy Adames on a winning baseball team. I mean, they've been in the playoffs every year since they've had Willy Adames. There's a place for Willy Adames on a winning baseball team. It's just not as high priority a place as I think where they've had him now for a couple of years.
Yeah, and I understand that there's a lot of fans that get very attached to their guys. You like your players. You like who you like. Like I've made no bones about it that Damian Lillard is my favorite player, but also I'm willing to say I'm disappointed in his play when it's not going in the right direction. And I feel like it's very odd that Brewers fans, used to bitch and moan about like guys like Corey Hart and Ricky Weeks when we had very, very good teams, and those guys if they dared play the way Willy Adames is playing right now, they wanted them shipped out. They wanted them, traded for just a bag of beans or whatever they could get for them. Like, they don't care. But it's like, now it's like we have this weird infatuation with Willy Adames, he is a good clubhouse guy. He's the guy who brought the claws up thing and stuff. Like, he's a great clubhouse guy.
Yeah.
But you also have to produce, because this same thing is like when we had Niger Morgan, he was like a Pat Bev. He was like a Bobby Portis. He was the hardworking guy who came out there. He didn't put up the greatest stats in the world. He was a hard worker. He was a hustler. He was a good guy that the whole city rallied around and really liked that dude. But there came a point where his bat wasn't doing what we needed it to do offensively, and he became more of a liability than a person that could help us win with where we were at. And you got to cut ties with him no matter how much you might actually like him as a person.
And I'll bring it full circle. I'll bring it full circle back to the first thing you asked me about, Drew, which is a lot of people have wondered, how would it affect, and stick with me here, how would it affect this Bears locker room if you did move on from Justin Fields? Because he has a lot of guys in that locker room who love him, who believe in him, who think he could be a great quarterback, who don't want to see him go anywhere. But those guys also understand that if it makes the team better, it makes the team better, and they'll get over it. You know what I mean? They just need to see what you see as far as a front office and an organization. If you move on from a good locker room guy and a guy who's everybody's best friend, they need to at least understand why. Because remember a couple of years ago when they were in the playoff hunt. I was out of town, so I don't remember exactly what the moves were. You might, but they were in the playoff hunt and they made like some sell type of moves. Oh, it was when they traded Josh Hader at the trade deadline. And guys openly in the locker room were like, what are we doing here? Into microphones and cameras. They were like, what are we doing here? Because we thought that we were trying to win something. And these aren't the type of moves that a team makes when you try. That's the only time that you'll really lose a locker room with trades or letting a free agent walk or anything else, is when guys look at the big picture and they don't see it. You know what I mean? As far as like trying to actually win games.
You didn't even have to go to a couple years ago. We could go back to this summer. You could go back to September when Drew Holiday traded. Yeah. Do you think that any of the players wanted to see Drew Holiday go? But they understood the move and where it was going. And what was happening. Like Giannis openly said he understood it. And, so it's like, you can still root for Willy Adames, man. You can still root for Craig Counsell. No, I'm just fucking around with that one.
No, you can. You can and you should. Wherever Justin Fields ends up, I'm gonna be a Justin Fields fan. I fucking love that dude, man. Yeah. He's a great dude, and I think he could be a great quarterback given the right support. So you can still be a fan of and root for a guy even if he's moved on from your organization.
And you've only had 2 years with Justin Fields. Like the Brewers have had 4 years with Willy Adames? Is this going into 4? So it's like, I understand, like, we had the Willy Walkie t-shirts, he's had like 2 bobbleheads or something. Like, it sucks to see a guy you root for go. But also it's like, when I said toxic positivity, there is a thing where it's like, are we holding on to something because we're sentimental about it and not trying to make these improvements? Because I saw a lot of these same people that I was arguing with talk about, like, they were taking it as a personal attack on Willy Adames. And like, I'll joke and meme like with you. And like, when you can hear like what I'm saying, like with the tone of my voice, when I'm joking around or making light of the situation or kind of picking and making fun of something, like that's one thing. But when I'm actually bringing in my opinions on stuff, like I've really tried to stave off saying players suck. I've really, unless I'm actively joking, like when I say Jason Tatum sucks, I don't actually think he sucks. I think it's fun.
Grant Williams sucks, though.
Grant Williams sucks.
Sucks.
But I mean, he did bring some of that defensive edge to Charlotte that we saw none of last night.
Fuck that, dude.
But no, it's like, it's not a personal attack on Willy. It's not an attack on his character. And if I disagree with you, it's not even an attack on you. I'm explaining where I'm coming from with what I look for to form my opinions. And WAR or batting average, on base percentage, like all that kind of stuff, OPS, Those are all very surface level stats that tell a very small part of the story. The Willy Adames thing, because you kind of got to walk this one out with me, why I brought up the advanced stats on him is because the things like hard hit balls, exit velocity, very far down for him. You know, his whiff rate, all of that, the whiff rate and stuff is him coming up and facing probably 3 times around the rotate or the batting order, facing a starting pitcher most nights. A lot of his home runs came off middle relievers in parts of games where we were either getting blown out or we were blowing out a team. And that's, you know, non-clutch time at bats come with a 3-run lead, same as a save situation. So your clutch time at bats come with a tie game or you're down 3, up 3. Anything outside of that is not a clutch time home run. Those can get you back into a game or something. And it's even the same thing as like, okay, like if a closer comes in and the bases are loaded and there's no outs, that became a save situation because the tying run is at the plate. Right. So you have a situation where you're down by 4, but your clutch time home run is, can I pull this team within a clutch time at bat now? And so it's kind of it's an amorphous kind of stat. And Willy Adames, most of the time, his home runs have come off of middle relievers. These are guys who aren't good enough to be closers. They might not have the gas to throw as hard as a closer, but they don't have enough stuff. Like they don't have 5 pitches. They don't have what it takes to be a starting pitcher at the major league level. They're obviously a much better pitcher than I could have ever been, but because they're at the major league level.
I've always said middle relievers are not good enough to be starters and not good enough to be closers. I
think that's the consensus. There's usually one guy in everybody's bullpen that's good enough to be a spot starter if there's a small injury, like a strain, something like that. So there are guys that can get the work done, but it's not going to necessarily be the most pretty or the longest outing. Willy Adames feasts off these kind of guys. And those guys generally are throwing a little bit softer because your harder throwing guys, your harder throwing guys are the ones that are going to be towards the back end of the bullpen. They're going to be your 7th, 8th, or 9th inning guy. So these 5th and 6th inning guys are who Willie is hitting. But throwing on average around 92 to 88 miles an hour. And that's where his exit velocity is down because he's hitting the hardest hit balls off of guys that aren't generating the power at him.
I would counter with this, and I know you don't have the answer to this off the top of your head.
Am I?
With the way that the game is played nowadays and with the way that pitchers are used nowadays, middle relievers eat up so many innings that I would assume that a good portion of a lot of guys' home runs are coming off middle relievers, and that's not just a Willy Adames stat. That doesn't, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. I'd like to see where he ranks in terms of his home runs against starters and where he ranks in terms of his home runs against closers, because I think that's a valid thing that you bring up, Drew. But I just think that that stat might also be weighted to look like he feeds on middle relievers and can't hit starters and can't hit closers, when in fact it might just be a product of middle relievers get a lot of innings in the modern game.
I actually looked it up because like I said, I look up some of these stats when I'm if I'm going to make an assertion about something. He only hit 4 home runs last season off of starting pitching.
Okay, that's not good. I'm going to go out on that limb and say that's not good.
Yeah, okay. That's these, like, I made sure, I'm like, am I talking out of my ass here on this one? Like, which hit 24, 26 home runs or something like that. And we'll wrap up on this one, but it's like, that's a low percentage. When you look at even guys like Christian Yelich, who didn't have a 30 home run season, Yelich's home runs did come off of starting pitching, and a lot of William Contreras's did too. So our more professional, more seasoned hitters in our lineup are hitting starting pitching more than he is.
I mean, like I said, I'm okay with Willie being on the team, and I'm also okay with if the right trade is on the table with them taking that too. I could go either way if I'm a Brewers fan on that one.
Yeah, I don't want to run him out of town. Like, I don't hate the guy.
You hate Willy Adames. Stop it. You fucking hate him.
he's painful to watch in clutch situations. It really does hurt to watch.
Yeah, you hate him. Drew Flaggy. Drew F is on fire on Twitter.
On my last,
he hates Willie Adames.
On the other podcast that I used to do with our friend Ryan, they tried to tweet at Carlos Delfino and get me to fist fight him. Because I moderately shit talked Carlos Delfino, just like making fun of that era of being like a diehard Bucks fan. Like I thought that Carlos Delfino was like the absolute GOAT. And then
we should do random guys we hate and want to fight.
No, but it was like I was talking about how disappointing he was. And we used to do this podcast when I was like after we were drinking an open mic. And like I was like, no, you hate him. He ruined your life. And like they kept doing that. And then they started tweeting at Carlos Delfino, come back to Milwaukee and fight Drew Flaggy. You got a score to settle. I'm okay with
like reprising that if you want to bring it back, if you want to try and get Carlos Delfino. I would like to see you get your ass kicked by Carlos Delfino.
I don't want to get beat up by Carlos Delfino.
But speaking of getting drunk and going to open mics, we both want to go and do that right now. So we should wrap this thing up. If you're listening to this tonight, we're at the Laughing Tap right now. Like while you listen to this, we are at the Laughing Tap in Walker's Point right now, waiting to get on the stage at the open mics to come and check it out. Otherwise, come and check Drew out Friday and Saturday night at the Laughing Tap, opening for Colin Terrell. Did I get it right?
Colin Terrell.
There you go, Colin Terrell. That's Friday and Saturday, laughingtap.com for tickets. While you're on the internets, and you're already there right now, if you haven't done it already, follow, subscribe, like, rate, review, tell a friend, help us grow this thing that we call Ramie and Drew. This has been episode 26. That's Drew Flaggy. I'm Ramie Makloff, and we will talk to you next time.
Yeah. Lot.